All right, in this lesson we will look at arithmetic sequences, and we have formulas for arithmetic sequences and we have formulas for geometric sequences. Well, we don't have to use these today, but we will use this one, and we'll use this one tomorrow. So arithmetic and geometric, what does that mean? Here's an arithmetic sequence, 1, 3, 5, 7, and we find the common difference by subtracting the current term from the next term. So we'll go 3 minus 1 is 2, 5 minus 3 is 2, and that will give us the common difference. We'll use the common difference in arithmetic sequences. Over here with the geometric sequence, we're going to have 2 divided by 1 is 2, 4 divided by 2 is 2, 8 divided by 4 is 2, and that's called the common ratio, and that'll be in the next section. Find the common difference in the next 4 terms. Let's find explicit and recursive formulas. Explicit, remember, could be called general or nth term, and so we'll make a table and then find some equations. So the common difference is going to be the next term minus the current term, and we get 31. Here we have the next term minus the current term, and we get 31. So we know the common difference is 31. To find a recursive formula, we say what the first term is, and then we say how to get to the next term. The next term is the previous term plus 31. And we would say that n is greater than or equal to 2. Explicit or general form is going to use the formula from this formula. Now we just plug in all the numbers. So the formula is the nth term, or the explicit formula, is the first plus n minus 1 times the common difference. So we have the first term is negative 129 plus n minus 1 times 31. And we can simplify it to get that. Same question. Pause the video and do the same thing with that sequence. So we find the common difference is negative 57 by subtracting the next term, subtracting the using the next term minus the current term. Next term minus the current term gives us the common difference. A recursive formula, state the first term, then tell how to get to the next term. So the next term is the previous term minus 57, where n is greater than or equal to 2. And here we have, because it has a common difference, we know it's arithmetic, and that allows us to use the formula. And we just write down the first term, 244, n minus 1 times negative 57, 244 minus 57n plus 57, and we get 301 minus 57n. All right, find the 38th term. So, and we know it's arithmetic. We can see that it's arithmetic here if we know that there's a common difference. So we go negative 2 minus negative 29 is 27. 25 minus negative 2 is 27. So the common difference is 27. And they want the 38th term, so we find the general formula, or the nth term, or the explicit form. That is just describing this. This is called the nth term, the explicit form, or the general form. So first term is negative 29. Common difference, 27. And the question asks for the 38th term, so then we put a 38 in there, and that equals 970. All right, we have a, n. We don't know what this is, but we know the 25th term is 139. We could answer the question just using a table, because we know that this plus 3/4 would be 139, so we could say that, well, this must be 138 and 1/4. We could go backwards all the way up, just subtracting 3/4 until we get to the beginning. We don't know the first term, but we have this formula. And if we can have only one variable, then we can solve for that variable. We want to find a1, and we know this A25, 25 minus 1 times D, and we know that A25 is 139. And that'll be a 6 times 3 is 18. Minus 18, 121 equals A1. So we were able to solve it with the formula. We could have also just subtracted 3/4 all the way back to get to 121. Find the common difference if A1 is 75 and A38 is 56.5. And the challenge here is there are a lot of different ways they can ask a question. So you have to be flexible. We can't just always rely on using this. Sometimes we have to modify our strategy. So it's always helpful to start with a table, just to put what you know into a familiar form. So that would be a little tough to calculate by guess and check. We can say, well, I think I'm going to add a half, and then just keep adding a half and see if you get to 56. Well, we can't add a half. Maybe we have to subtract a half, and we keep checking that way. We can also look at the formula and see if we know enough to substitute into the formula. We're trying to find D, and if we know N, A1, and AN, then we can solve for D. And here we do know all of those because A38, N is 38, A38 is 56.5, A1 is 75, and we'll subtract 75, and then divide by 37. It turns out to be 1/2, and so that was one thing that I just guessed. We could subtract a half over and over and see if we get to 56.5, or we can use the formula. All right. A3 is 8, A6 is 17, and arithmetic mean is just going to be the numbers between 8 and 17. Now, we can just, it's arithmetic, so we can just guess what's going to be added to get to 17. That's one strategy. We can also do it like this, and let's make up a new column here and just say that this is the first. If we're going to start at 8 and end at 17, then we could just use these numbers, and then that would allow us to use this formula. And we're trying to solve for D to find out what is added every time. We do know that in this case, A4 equals A1, 4 minus 1 times D. A4 is 17, A1 is 8. Subtract 8, and we get 9. So we were able to solve for D. Another strategy is to do this. That's plus 3. That'll be 11. Plus 3, 14. Those are the arithmetic means between 8 and 17. Another strategy, if you didn't want to do this, we could just say that if we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 17, plus D, we're looking for those numbers plus D. And so that would give us 8 plus 3D equals 17. We don't have to use the formula. We can just make our own and say 8 plus D plus D plus D equals 17, and we end up with the same thing that we had before. D is 3. So the nth term is the first term. So let's go back up here, and we're going to go 8 minus 3, 5 minus 3, and so now we know the first term. We need that to find the nth term. First term, common difference. So we have, that's the nth term, and we solved for the common difference using these new indexes, or we can even use just make our own formula with these. Okay, and that's the end of that video.